Welcome to the Digital Clinic, the show where we dig into what actually works in digital marketing for healthcare and medtech. The strategies, tools, and thinking that move the needle when the rules are tighter, the stakes are higher, and that's the way we've always done it is no longer a viable answer. For years, PR has been a discipline that goes last in the integrated marketing pitch, getting 5 minutes at the end, if you were lucky. Well, that's changing, and the surprising reason why may have a lot to do with AI. Abby Lovett spent 26 years in executive roles with the world's foremost PR agencies, doing the kind of work AI is worst at, building credibility that can't be bought, earning attention with substance, and making sure every claim could be sourced and defended. And now, as founder of CTP Visibility Advisors, she's making the case that the AI visibility challenge facing brands today isn't an SEO or a GEO problem, it's a narrative and credibility problem. And that's always been PR's turf. Here's our conversation. This podcast is sponsored by Wheelhouse Digital Marketing Group. Wheelhouse provides exceptional performance marketing for healthcare and medical device manufacturers. Every Wheelhouse client saw record performance in 2025, even after implementing HIPAA-compliant data solutions. Find out more at wheelhousedmg.com. You were an EVP at Ketchum, and one of the things that you achieved was you helped Wendy's to overtake Burger King in the number 2 slot. Your accomplishments, your responsibilities there, your role in doing that were far broader than just focusing on media. Can you describe that campaign and what you achieved and what was in your purview in making that happen?
Yeah. If there is a listener out there who has not yet tried Wendy's breakfast, go get a breakfast Baconator at the end of the show. It is an outstanding breakfast lineup, but the breakfast Baconator is my favorite. It was entering into that day part that allowed Wendy's to overtake Burger King in terms of share.
Right.
So from a PR perspective, we didn't just think about, the breakfast is here. Let's make sure everybody knows, and we're just gonna, PR the ads. That's another thing people get wrong, by the way. But, PR people don't exist just to hide the advertising.
Yeah, sure.
As a pre-seed type of story, we told stories about each and every component that went into that menu. What went into choosing the bread? What went into choosing the bacon? By the way, their bacon is outstanding. Who are the people behind those decisions? And why are they making those decisions? And what is it based on? And so there's just this incredible depth, again, that goes way beyond what people might think about PR. And in doing that kind of storytelling and pulling those tidbits out, you do a couple things. Number one, you're able to expand your footprint because you're not just going to food titles. You could go to food titles, business titles, other lifestyle titles. You're reinforcing your brand equity. You're telling people what you're all about. When you say quality is our recipe, that's one thing. But when you actually make decisions grounded in quality and you choose quality executives to make those decisions and they walk through why they made the decisions, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Americans responded. It was a great menu because they made great decisions. And then we had fun at the launch. Obviously, we were able to surround sound it. And then the country shut down. We launched about 8 days. I think it was 8 days before the COVID shutdowns happened.
Yeah.
And so all of this work that had gone into this massive launch and this day part, and a lot of franchisees' dollars are riding on this being successful. I mean, their personal income is contingent upon that launch. It was a lot of pivot after that. Those that were on the road, those that were able to come through the drive-through were a lot of first responders. They were a lot of truckers. They were, the people that were out there in those early days. Wendy's made sure to take care of them, and the franchisees stepped up in a number of different ways. And so those were other storytelling opportunities. And one of the things about PR that makes it such a powerful mechanism for brands and for leaders is that it works on the news cycle. So you don't have the same production timelines that advertising does. You can get out there with a story in a matter of hours.
You mentioned storytelling. The other thing that jumped out at me in your time at Ketchum is that you launched something called StoryWorks while at Ketchum.
Yeah.
Tell me about StoryWorks.
The core of what StoryWorks was an ability to keep an ear to the ground and move very quickly on news of the day. news of the hour. This is now sort of commonplace.
Sure.
I would think that most of your listeners are like, oh yeah, this is something that a lot of brands and leaders do. They respond very quickly to what's happening in the world. But when we designed StoryWorks, we actually came up with the models for real-time listening on topics that our clients cared about. And we had a battery of approved language, images, things that we could work with so that we didn't have to wait on legal hurdles. We didn't have to wait. There was um, a real seamlessness to the way we had designed it so that we could get out on social channels for the most part, get out on social channels very quickly, and then use whatever we put out into the world for a media pitch, for follow-up content, for an executive address, whatever it might be.
Right.
There was a trend of people going to the beach and taking pictures of their knees, like looking out at the water. And
Oh, yeah.
and then they would post it and say, are these hot dogs or are these my knees? And at the time, one of our clients was Hebrew National. And so that was hot dog legs was a good day. When hot dog legs started trending, our client was amazing. And they said, yeah, obviously we have to jump on this. And so we were able to get an image up on their social. People were voting whether it was hot dogs or knees, and
Yeah.
it made national news that day. While I was at Medline, they had made a large investment in working with a team of engineers at Microsoft to help solve some of the headaches inherent to the healthcare supply chain broadly across America. Because they are the number one distributor and manufacturer of healthcare supplies, they sit on a lot of data about what supplies are going where, when, how. And obviously, Microsoft is one of the preeminent providers of data architecture, AI architecture, all these things. And so while I was there, they put together this system. It was Medline, Microsoft, and a few beta health systems that were open to ensuring that whatever they were creating would actually work and actually help supply chain leaders at top tier hospitals and health systems never experience a supply shortage. How cool is that? So back to the COVID era, we all saw what happened when people couldn't get their hands on a face mask, or we didn't know where they were, if we had enough, and and then we had hoarding and all these things. So how cool is it that Medline used their power for good, basically, and said, okay, wait, hold up. We know, because we're the largest provider of these things, we know where the supplies are. Let's get it into a system that we can better help America's healthcare providers get their hands on supplies when they need them, predict outages, all that good stuff. But fundamentally,
Sure.
it was still about making a story rooted in data that solves a problem of our day and does so in a really compelling fashion. So this is, again, I think marketers, PR people, whatever you want to call us these days, integrated marketers, the talent is the ability to take a topic and tell an incredible story that is interesting and useful for people. You can get in there and do some really cool stuff. And that is what brought me to CTP.
So just to kind of net out the project that you helped with at Medline, this was AI-enabled predictive supply chain logistics, right?
Yeah.
And what was the outcome of implementation of that project?
They built a platform called Empower. So if any of your listeners are interested in learning more, there's a lot of great assets on the Medline site in their newsroom where you can see sort of how it works. But effectively, yeah, it was AI-powered tool that a customer, a hospital or a health system, could access to understand their supply chain levels, their supply levels, I should say, across the system. And it sounds so simple to say that, but when you really think about the amount of supplies and the movement of these supplies and how something like a hurricane or a pandemic or something like that can change things very quickly. It's absolutely crucial that the supply chain leaders have their finger on the pulse of what they have or don't have so that they can encounter any curveballs. It's a very impressive project.
Yeah. What role did AI play in this project, and how is what you described, how is it different than a high-end inventory management system?
So the data lakes from each one of the organizations, from Medline, from Microsoft, from the participating hospital systems, all needed to exchange information at different levels. So there was a lot of coding that went into that and just general setup. And then there was the predictive layer, which you mentioned. Um, just general, like, okay, these are the general order flows. And then the AI component of it was, okay, based on all of these trends that we're seeing across these three data lakes, but we can't combine those data. What do we think we might need to put forward in terms of a recommendation to a supply chain leader to watch out for? What's a red, yellow, green? Like,
Right.
you're running real low here, or you have this in this supply closet on this floor, and it needs to go over to that campus and be in that supply closet.
Was there also an element of it that looked at external events or trends? For example, anticipated flu season, that sort of thing? Yeah,
Yes, that's a part of it because obviously we know weather events, geopolitical events, all of that can and does have a huge impact on a supply chain.
absolutely. So what did you see in this AI-enabled project at Medline that prompted you to say, okay, now I want to go build my own firm that is substantially focused on AI visibility?
It was a very basic aha moment. I think anybody who gets 25 years into a career probably, hopefully, takes a deep breath and thinks about all of the things that they have loved doing and figuring out how they want to continue to do those things in the back nine.
Yeah,
The components of telling a useful and differentiated story have been in my bones from day one. Like, I just absolutely love that. And I see in the rise of AI visibility the opportunity for PR people to lead.
right.
So I wrote this piece about how I feel like that's what's happening for PR.
Yeah,
The PR teams, for the most part, have been the team saying, well, can we back this up? If we're going to say this, an editor's going to ask me where my source is, where they, where's the additional information, and what makes this true, and what makes this the most differentiated thing for this company versus a lot of paid marketers got to just put whatever they wanted out there and pay for the space. And PR people have been earning it from day one. Earned media is a term because of that. And so, given my background, plus a lot of the exposure that I had with this AI enabled project and the impact that it had on this multi-billion-dollar firm, I got really excited about the opportunity to build my own company and help provide for brands, other agencies, small businesses, a AI visibility suite of services where they're able to um, ensure that when people are seeking fill in the blank, whatever it is, a service, a product, etc., that their name rises to the top. They're not losing share to competitors, and they're able to capture this traffic that converts at a much higher level than a standard Google search.
you had written that AI optimization, the world of AI, is effectively the same game as PR, but it's different turf and maybe even better turf for PR. Why better turf? Why is this better turf for PR?
Well, again, because I think people have finally started to pay attention to the craft of getting their story straight. PR has stepped into the limelight where we were, I think the channel has been sort of off on the practice fields. And people are like, yeah, come on over. You can come under the Friday Night Lights maybe next week. It's like you have in an integrated marketing pitch. Just as an example, the PR people like always go last and you get, 5 minutes rushed at the end or whatever. Now that's inverted. And there's a lot more appetite to understand wait, how do I ensure that all of this equity I've built over all these years is actually protected? What do I need to get out there in terms of citation worthy content, data, etc., that will help me defend this brand that I built? And so that's nice turf.
What's the ingredient? What is the role of a human that is defensible and high value that people continue to be very happy to pay for?
As a human who has worked in PR for almost 26 years, I'm very proud of the fact that I've never run the same play twice. Full stop. And AI broadly takes the best average of everything. So let's say that AI gets into a strategic place. What it's going to produce is the best average. But brands today are operating in a landscape that's ever more competitive, ever more cutthroat, and moving more quickly than ever before. So they don't need the best average, they need the best, full stop. And so I think the role of the human is to, yeah, again, take the information that the robots can serve you and then do something with it. We invented the wheel. We invented fire. I'm confident we can deal with this.
So the name of your firm is CTP Visibility Advisors.
Yep.
First of all, what does CTP stand for?
It stands for credibility, trust, and perception, but it is also the initials of my children. And
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, and it literally came to me in the middle of the night. I had been having a very hard time naming it, and I woke up and it truly, it came to me. Those are the three legs of the stool. That's what I have always been about. That is my stock and trade, is driving credibility, trust, and positive perception for my clients. I think visibility, arguably, I've heard this from a few good advisors, friends, might seem a little trendy as a term. I argue that it bridges into, again, a lot of visibility vehicles that extend beyond just AI. So things like earned media, owned media, executive addresses, all of that good stuff, all of that's visibility as well. So I come into this conversation, I come into a lot of client conversations through the lens of AI visibility, but it is broader than just AI platforms.
Tell me about the work that you do and how that work in this context differs or attenuates the PR and marketing work that you had been doing. How have you applied that expertise, that experience, those skills to this context?
The things that are the same are absolutely the narrative building, the narrative as the spine of everything. Understanding what your company or your leader, whatever you're out there protecting and promoting, the core of that. What is that all about? That is a place that a lot of organizations are not aligned. You can ask 3 leaders at a company and get 3 different answers as to what they're all about and what they're here to do. So just getting that aligned to is something that I've worked hard at my entire career, and that it's absolutely crucial in this space. The work that is a little bit different is the technical side of structuring that narrative and making sure the schema markup is in place, and things that a lot of PR people haven't necessarily had to worry about in terms of the headings on the website. That's not necessarily something that has always fallen into PR's court. But the connectivity between all of the content, all of the channels, that's very much the same. Does it hang together without being, quote unquote, matching luggage? Does the outfit go together without all being the same color?
Right.
It does really irk me when people refer to it as AI SEO, because it's not keyword stuffing, and it's not just about understanding what people are asking for and then going and running to write a blog that answers that. That's part of it. Keeping your ear to the ground is always smart, to know what people are asking about, and being responsive, being agile, all those things that we just talked about.
Right.
The difference is that you're not going to pay your way there.
You are also a published author, yes?
I am about to be, April 21st. It is coming to an Amazon near you.
So the title of the book is Superhuman, 8 Small Ways to Be Super at What You Do and Human While You Do It. Tell me a little bit about the book, and can you give me a couple of examples of how to be super and human?
I like to say the gestational period for this book has been about 4 years. And I initiated it when I was at Ketchum. Things were, we were growing rapidly, and there was just so much I wanted to share with my team all the time. And I was like, I just had to write this stuff down. These are effectively my hacks at the time. That was kind of how I was thinking about it. Like, these are all the things that have
Yeah.
helped me over the last 20 years. As I started really getting into it, we went through COVID as a human race. And I was convinced at that point, oh, things are gonna change totally. Like, everybody's seeing the kids in the background of the cameras, and I everybody at this point, we're all gonna realize that teachers should be the next millionaires, and look at you, like, obviously everything's gonna change.
Yeah.
So I put it on the shelf, and then it didn't change in material ways. It changed in, like, sort of weird, "What are we doing here? Are we going back to the office or not?" Like, there was this sort of like, wow, this is really difficult to just sort of be a human. So where it started with the professional, whatever, here's how to be a client service guru, it it became very clear to me, like, oh, no, 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 that's not nearly enough counsel. There are so many things that are happening and to the human condition at work. And I would argue in 2026, we might be at a crescendo moment where we're like, do humans have a role in the workforce? If so, what is it? Are the robots going to take us all out? Like, all of these things. So it's actually, I didn't mean for it to take 4 years, but like, obviously there were careers and kids and pandemics and things that came and went.
Small distractions.
But what beautiful timing. Like, it actually kind of all syncs together in the sense that collectively, I'd like to think, maybe this isn't true, but a lot of us are thinking about, what does it look like to be a human person who has human needs like rest and water and feelings? What's it like to be a human at companies today? And as company leaders, what does it look like to make safe spaces? And what does it look like to ensure sustainable growth by taking care of your people? Why is that arguably, like, a lot of people would say, oh, that sounds a little old school. Nobody's taking care of their people anymore. And I'm just forever curious. So I looked into all of it. Um, I researched 4 principles about what sets people apart professionally, and then 4 principles about our basic human condition. So things like the psychology that we go into meetings with. And, you might hear somebody talk about how important your presence is, but what they're really talking about is your energy. And what are you bringing into that moment? And there's a lot of research that suggests that that's a very real, powerful thing. But I don't know if people are talking about that. I have not read a lot of books about this. So
Mhm.
each section of the book, there's 4 P's for the professional side, 4 P's for the personal side. And then in each section, we call it the small framework. So the S is the science behind whatever that topic is. What does the research have to say about fill in the blank?
Yep.
And then the M is my take. So it's generally like, this is the ding dong section, right? This is like, okay, here's my take. I did this, it didn't work. Or here's my take. Yeah, I know the research says this, but often I've run into this. And then we talk about application, and then learning and listening, like learning and then little steps. So, okay, here are some things that you can look into further if you're a reader that's interested in even more information on this topic. Or if you just want to, like, maybe toy with this concept, here are some little steps that you can take to begin thinking about fill in the blank topic, your
Hmm.
own presence. To bring back that example, like, do you say hello to people? Like, that's not a very hard thing to do, but a lot of people don't. And we talk like in the book, I talk about how one of the little steps is how you open a call.
Sure.
A lot of professionals don't say anything. They just show up. And I think that's a miss, especially if you're in a client service role. You are not being paid to be unengaged.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the question as to the role that human beings may or may not have in work going forward. So let's shift back to AI. I have several questions for you related to AI. With so much experience in public relations, tell me about the role that you foresee AI playing in PR. I mean, one of the easiest things to do with AI right out of the gate was create bad content. And you could create volumes and volumes of it. And hopefully people have gotten better at creating content to the extent that they're doing so. But tell me about the proper role for AI in PR.
A lot of people like to say, well, it should always have a human in the loop. Like, you shouldn't be relying on AI for all of your content creation. And I agree. Any PR person worth their salt understands the news of the day. So there are a lot of dead easy automations and agents that you could put together for your organization that provides a daily news briefing so that your executives or yourself, your team, you're not reading 20 outlets in the morning. That's been really helpful for me.
Right.
Another thing I see a lot of corporate communicators do then is as they go into their day and they're working on content creation for their organization or their executives, they're assembling, a battery of content, things that they have actually written or their executives have actually written, speeches that they have done, all of those things, and they're creating personas, GPTs, whatever they might be, for their executives. So if I'm working with Aaron and I am your publicist, your PR person, your strategic communicator, whatever you want to call me, I know because I have trained a partner on my virtual team, I know that you never sign your emails like toodles. Maybe.
Which is true. I never sign my emails like that.
I know that you offer a spicy POV and then back it up, whatever it might be. And so I'm seeing a lot of communicators get sharp as hell, frankly, in all of the things that they kept where, you partner with somebody for a really long time and you just know, oh, this person would never say it like that. Having an agent designed can really speed up the drafting of a lot of materials. That's not to say that the AI is drafting the materials, but it makes it a heck of a lot faster to do things like that. Media briefings are another place where AI is massively helpful. So back in the day, we would have to go through a reporter or an outlet's whole history of coverage on a topic or a person, whatever it might be. Getting AI to pull that history is very, very helpful because you can get very smart very quickly and get your executive prepped in a matter of, that stuff used to take days and now it can take an hour.
Right.
I hope it's clear in these examples that I'm giving that these are all tactics. This is not the strategy. I've yet to see any AI say, okay, you're sitting on this massive launch. You're sitting on something that'll make healthcare run better. You're sitting on whatever it might be. Oh, okay, this is what you're going to do. You're going to seed it here. Then you're going to have these influencers do this. Then you're going to go to this media. And then don't forget all of these owned vehicles that you have to have. And the executive memo needs to do this. Like, they're not putting together the strategy, the comm stack, and then the way that all integrates with all the other things that are happening, the shopper media and the advertising that's out in the world.
What then is the role, the protected, the high value role of human beings in a context that is AI enabled? You can make these things much more efficient. So if we think of the various roles in a PR agency or in a marketing team, much of that work historically might have been done by junior level PR folks, by junior level marketing folks. You can automate away quite a lot of that work, that labor involved, if not the people involved. And as AI becomes more sophisticated, I can anticipate you can too, that more and more of that might be the case. If you were put yourself in the shoes of an upcoming graduate, somebody with a communications degree, what would you be thinking about? What would you be doing to prepare yourself for an economy, a PR industry that is increasingly AI enabled?
What I'm seeing is the new junior work is creating the agents. So it's not doing the morning news sweep, but it's creating the agent that does the morning news sweep. Um, I work with a number of recent graduates. I'm on the board for my undergraduate university. We talk a lot about, quote unquote, how to AI proof a graduate. Again, I don't think there's any AI proofing for any of us. I think it's figuring out what role it plays, holding its hand, and working with it. So yeah, if I had a kid going into the workforce right now and they were going into communications, I would have them think about the operations, because there's a lot of people who are more seasoned that don't know where to start, or they don't have an appetite to start with that stuff because they've always just done their morning news sweep one way, for example.
Yeah.
And they're billing $500 an hour. They're not going to bill $500 an hour to build a Zap on their RSS feeds. You know who that's great for? The recent college graduate.
Yeah.
And it makes them a hero. The other thing that I always encourage graduates to do is connect a lot of dots, because I think just like the curiosity, whether it's curiosity because you just don't know any better and you're just starting your career, or curiosity because you're reading lots of different things and you're going to lots of different things, bring that back to your team. Bring that back to the office if you're going to an office. Like, there are a lot of things that my colleagues, for example, when I was at Ketchum and I, on the weekends, spent my time at like the YMCA at swimming lessons, but my colleagues were at street festivals and they're going to Lollapalooza and they're doing all this like other stuff. We had to work together on pulling together plans and programs because they would see something very cool. And then I could help take the benefit of my experience and say like, okay, wait, we got to think about this, actually get a permit or whatever.
Sure.
And so that's the other thing. It's really important for graduates to know, do, be, and see. Just get out there and learn things, and don't stay home.
You've kind of hit on what I also think may end up being a stealthy superpower of new graduates, which is they're not burdened by we've always done it like this.
Yes.
And so new is just new for them. So that combined with, as you suggested, the ability to learn multiple disciplines, to orchestrate among those disciplines and to connect them technically and intellectually, may put them in very good stead.
This is new for a lot of folks. I mean, so it's not as if they're depositioned. The only thing they're depositioned on, to your point, is not having 20 plus years of background on how this one company does this one thing.
Sure.
That's it. But that arguably isn't as relevant in an AI world. So, a long-winded way of saying, they could consider themselves, in a sense, at the same start line as a lot of their more experienced colleagues.
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe even ahead in some
Yeah.
contexts. Well, Abby, I've really enjoyed talking with you and I appreciate your time. It's been a fun conversation.
Yes, it has. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about any of this anytime. So thank you.
If people want to reach you, how can they connect with you?
CTPVisibility.com is our website. There are contact us buttons all over that, or abby.lovett@ctpvisibility.com.
And they can also find you on YouTube because you have your own series called
That's
Dear
true.
Abby.
Yes, the CTP Visibility channel on YouTube. Check us out. There's every one of those episodes is built. We like to say it's built for a billable world. So everything's under 15 minutes. And they're sort of 101 content for anyone who is entering the world of AI visibility. They have questions they might be embarrassed to ask, or things that they're curious about, but they don't want to say out loud. That is the purpose. We like to say, a safe and sane place to go as you're exploring this world.
That's great. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
The thing that really stuck with me from that conversation was this insight. By default, AI produces the best average. Abby wasn't being dismissive about this, she was being factual. AI is extraordinarily good at synthesizing what's already known and producing an output that's better than most, but not better than the best. By nature, AI is derivative. And in a market where the best average is available to everyone, that may very well become a crippling limitation. The brands that figure this out are going to use AI for speed, synthesis, pattern recognition, all informed by human-powered expert strategy and guided by keen discernment. For healthcare marketers specifically, that's not an abstract idea. The compliance constraints, the reputational stakes, the audience complexity, all of it rewards the kind of judgment that AI can support but not replace. Abby Lovett at CTP Visibility Advisors is worth following if you're thinking about any of this. You'll find her on LinkedIn and at ctpvisibility.com. I'm Aaron Burnett. See you next time on The Digital Clinic.